He doesn't have long to live. I can hear the doctors fuss and argue about me outside my room. What do we tell him? We don't know what's happening at this point, and things have been getting confusing, goddammit. I hear this bickering, along with the sound of groans and paper rustling. Just tell him the truth. We aren't paid to hide anything. The door creaked open, and white silver light flooded my dark hospital room. The doctors had visibly concerned faces, and one of them even looked like they were on the verge of vomiting. I can't blame them though. If you saw how I looked, you'd be disgusted too. My skin was a pasty gray. My blue veins had been darkened, and my eyes were constantly bloodshot. My left arm hadn't fully recovered, but I could tell the meds and IVs had done something to placate my nerves. The squirming thing that had been in my left arm had moved. It had grown too, to about the size of a baseball. Every time I touched it, it would thrash, then slowly move up. I didn't tell the doctors about the creature in me, but I think they know about it from all the tests and x-rays they ran. The doctor in front finally built up enough courage and confronted me. I'm Dr. Adams. My associates next to me are Dr. Dominic and Dr. McDowell. The two men on the side slightly waved, then nervously stepped back. I looked at the three doctors and clenched my fist as tight as I could. Tell me, I said with a demanding tone. Dr. Adams flinched in surprise. How long do I have to live? He fiddled with a loose silver watch on his wrist and looked down nervously. We think weeks, maybe days, who knows? I weakened my clenched fist and exhaled. I laid my head gently on the coarse mattress. We'll run some more tests on you, but right now we need you to stay in this room. Dr. Adams cleared his throat and made his way to one of the two wooden chairs next to my bed. As he sat, he signaled for the two other doctors to exit, and he let out a deep breath. I'm gonna be clear. Things aren't looking good, he stated with a matter-of-fact tone. I hate to say it, but I think it'd be better if we stop giving you meds. I looked at him in terror. You're dying, and there's no way to help you. I'm sorry. Well, damn it. I'm dead. In a matter of weeks, days, hours, who knows? We'll be contacting your family immediately, the doctor said with a blank expression. Oh, I don't have any, I replied with a similar empty expression. They died a couple years back in a plane crash. The doctor inhaled deeply and itched the back of his neck. I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm used to them being gone. We stayed in silence for a good 10 seconds before he scratched his head and stood up. Well, I'll get a nurse in here to run some tests tomorrow. I nodded and pulled my thin white blankets up to my shoulders. I woke up to thin, sleek layers of bright yellow light bleeding into the room. The light burned my eyes and forced me back into the covers. As I put the blankets over myself, I felt a huge bulge on my shoulder and rubbed it with my hand. A sigh escaped my mouth, and I looked at my wrist. My veins were pitch black, and my skin looked white and rubber-like. I put my arms back under the blankets and wondered what people would think of me. There was nothing I could do about it. I just laid my head down and drifted off to sleep. As I closed my eyes, I heard a door handle shake and my room door creak. I slowly pulled the covers down and looked up. It was a nurse. She was holding 3 long clear containers with needles inside of them. A long plasticky tube connected one of the needles to a large bag. "I'm Nurse Gonzalez. I'm just going to be running some blood tests for you," she said with a forced smile. I nodded my head slightly and lifted my right arm out of the blanket. The nurse looked at my pale skin, and I could tell she was disgusted. She plucked a plastic cap off of a needle and stuck it in my arm. She pulled the end of the syringe and blood filled the tube. I almost threw up just staring at it. Not because of the blood. It was the color. My blood was dark blue. Nurse Gonzalez's eyes widened as soon as she saw this. She dropped the syringe and ran out of the room. I heard faint screams and cries from the halls. Answers were the only thing I wanted. I didn't want to ask them about the thing in me, but at the same time, I would want to know what killed me. If they found out about the creature inside of me, they'd run some tests, but at least I would know what was inside of me, making me sick. Doctors and nurses rushed into my room with medical equipment, and the next thing I knew, I was loaded onto a stretcher and carried away. A familiar gas mask covered my mouth, and a sweet, tingling gas entered my mouth and filled my lungs. Cold metal is the first thing that touches my body when I wake up. I'm on a large operating table. There's tubes stuck inside dozens of places. Doctors are all around me, holding me down in place. I panic, flailing myself around. I didn't know where I was. I was in a large white room with a single metal door. Locks and keypads littered the left side of the door. Wherever I was, it was very high security. A single large fluorescent light hung overhead like a spotlight. I was the show, and the doctors were the audience. I had been drenched in sweat, and I could feel something painful in my shoulder. Shocks and electrical pulses overloaded my nerves. I tried to reach for my shoulder, but the doctors had put me in restraints. I tried thrashing around some more, but it was no use. Tears fled down my cheeks, and my throat was raw and scratched. I take back what I said about being tested. I'd rather be dead right now. The pain was tremendous. The creature kept growing and growing. It seemed it was draining my body of nutrients. It made sense. My white pale skin, my black veins, the electricity that jolted through my body. It was growing inside of me, taking everything from me, my life included. I tried moving my head around to get a good look, but right then, I heard a strangely comforting voice. "It's okay." It was Dr. Adams. "We're not hurting you in any way. In fact, we're helping you." I could barely make his lab coat silhouette in the blinding white room. He had a slight smile on his face. There was something else though. Something that I didn't notice earlier. Everyone was wearing gas masks. Dr. Adams slowly walked to the front of the metal stretcher and stretched his latex gloves up to his elbow. He grabbed a scalpel from a silver reflective table next to me and cut into my shoulder. A nostalgic jolt of pain littered my body as he cut into my left shoulder like butter, and chuckled as he pulled out the beast that had been living in my shoulder. It looked like that one abomination at the morgue, except grown. It seemed a lot bigger. Its bulging eyes were the size of golf balls. Its teeth were disturbingly human-like. Its arms were long and thin, as well as the legs. He was holding it extremely tight, and my shoulder felt like it was on fire. Dr. Adams looked at the specimen grudgingly through his black-tinted mask. He muttered, holding it close to his face, examining it. Interesting. He signaled for a group of heavily suited doctors over. They grabbed the creature with extreme caution and swiftly placed it into a metal box. Dr. Adams then signaled a couple of other doctors over to me, and I could feel the white light of that room drift away. I was going somewhere, not back to my room. It was somewhere more secluded. A cell. A guarded cell. 4 men dressed in slick black armor stood in front. The number beside the cell read 004. I was taken off of my stretcher and thrown in. The walls were corroded metal. It smelled of rot. There was a janky lamp, an old wooden bed, a sink and a toilet. That's all. I was going to be stuck in this. Forever. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there, shaking. Was I going to die here? Alone? In this very cell? No. I did know one thing. The alarms were ear-piercing. Red light pierced through the tiny metal slits on the door. Footsteps and gunfire echoed throughout the halls. The cell shook, and the doors unlocked. I ran out into the chaotic hall. The walls were concrete, and crimson light flooded the halls. Amidst the chaos, the guards were so wrapped up with whatever was going on that they didn't notice me. The escaped prisoner roaming the halls. I noticed guards running to the left and through a small doorway. I silently followed them and watched the massacre. It was complete calamity. The gleaming red hall mocked the blood-stained floors. Bodies were everywhere. Bullet shells scattered the floor. Whatever escaped is still in here with me. And I'm not going down without a fight.